welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are looking at something that is, frankly, going to completely change how live visual performances happen. We are unpacking the brand new 1.29 update to VKO1. Now, you probably already know VKO1 as a total powerhouse for musicians and VJs. But listen to this. With this new update, they've introduced a revolutionary integration that basically gives your visual instrument a live agentic AI brain. It is absolutely wild. To truly appreciate how huge this update is, we gotta talk about the core dilemma that live solo performers run into all the time. Picture this. You're behind the decks, the music is pumping, the crowd is going absolutely wild, and they want a massive visual show to match the energy of the room. But you don't have a dedicated VJ, you don't have a massive, complicated laptop rig, and honestly, you don't even have a free hand to trigger video clips yourself, right? Because you're busy actually performing. Well, that is exactly the problem VKO1 was originally built to solve. All right, Section 1, enter VKO1's visual engine. Let's quickly establish the baseline of what this software can do. Before we even touch the new AI magic, out of the box, VKO1 is basically a visual synthesizer. It's this super intuitive pad-based performance instrument that you can run on your iPhone, iPad, or Mac. It comes packed with 53 real-time metal GPU master effects. We're talking kaleidoscopes, glitches, massive feedback trails, and 25 built-in generative visualizers. They actually react to your music on the fly, so you don't need gigabytes of pre-rendered video files. They even recently added true 3D environment support. But the real lifesaver for solo performers is AutoMix. It's an automation system that handles all the beat syncing, the transitions, and the effect cycling completely hands-free while you play your set. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the barrier to entry. Absolutely zero. Zero coding is required to get started with any of this. You literally just load up the app, pick your color palettes, turn on AutoMix, and boom, you've got an incredible beat-synced visual show running itself. It's plug and play at its absolute finest. Moving right along to Section 2, your new AI Copilot. This is where things get really, really interesting. So what if you wanted to go beyond those 25 built-in presets? What if you wanted completely custom visuals tailored specifically to your set, but you have absolutely no idea how to write complex metal shader code yourself? Well, this brings us to the massive pivot in our explainer today. VKO1 version 1.29 officially adds Claude code integration. This means you don't just have a static automation system triggering presets anymore. You literally now have an agentic AI copilot sitting right inside your software, writing custom code for you live while the app is running. I mean, talk about a complete paradigm shift. Okay, Section 3. How Claude controls everything. Let's break down the mechanics behind this. You might be wondering, how does an AI chatbot suddenly know how to run a complex visual synthesizer? The magic key here is MCP, or the Model Context Protocol. Think of MCP as an open standard that allows AI models to securely connect to and actually use local software tools on your machine. By flipping a single toggle in VK1 for Mac, the software fires up a local MCP server. This gives Claude the literal hands to play the VK1 instrument and the eyes to see the output it generates. It completely bridges that gap between just generating text and actually manipulating live software. When you dig into the tools available through this integration, you realize Claude isn't just spitting out text suggestions, it has 18 actual functional tools to control VK1. For instance, it can use VKO Create Shader to compile brand new 2D or 3D metal shaders on the fly. It can use VKO Trigger Pad to activate specific visuals or layer them up. It can adjust your BPM, tweak AutoMix, and, this is absolutely crucial, it uses a tool called VKO Preview Shader. This renders an off-screen image so the AI can actually visually check its own work, catching and fixing any compiler errors before it ever pushes that final visual to your live screen. Let's move to Section 4, Real-Time Shader Generation, and actually see this workflow in action. Okay, walking through the step-by-step is where it truly feels like magic. Here is how this agentic workflow operates. First, you open your terminal and just type a plain English command to Claude. Second, Claude writes a custom metal shader code right then and there, utilizing the templates built into VKO1. Third, it renders a preview completely off-screen, analyzes that image to make sure it actually matches what you asked for, and squashes any bugs. And finally, step 4, it pushes that fully compiled, error-free shader directly to a live pad on your grid. Imagine just typing this prompt into your terminal during a set. Build me a hypnotic audio-reactive tunnel shader and put it on pad 3. Within seconds, Literally seconds. Claude writes the code, compiles it inside VKO1, and instantly a completely custom beat sync tunnel appears on your screen, pulsing perfectly in time with your music. You just directed a bespoke visual asset without writing a single semicolon yourself. And because VKO1 recently added that true 3D environment we talked about, you can get incredibly specific. You could type something like, make a 3D shader that looks like liquid chrome, beat displaced palette 5. Claude inherently knows how to access those 3D meshes. It knows exactly how to displace the vertices based on the strength of the beat, and it knows how to apply your specific color palette. It handles all the heavy lifting of the complex math and the graphics pipeline for you. Section 5. Performing with an AI. Let's look at how these systems collaborate. Let's tie this all together and picture a real live venue setting. The ultimate synergy here is letting each system do exactly what it does best. AutoMix, VKO1's internal engine, acts as your performer. It flawlessly handles the rigid, millisecond-perfect beat syncing, the crossfades, and the fast-paced effect cycling. Claude, on the other hand, acts as your art director. So while AutoMix is rapidly running the show on beat, you keep your terminal open and gently steer the overall mood. You can just tell Claude, hey, the next section is acid techno, let's make things harder and much more red. And Claude dynamically writes new code and loads fresh scenes in the background, which AutoMix then seamlessly blends into the live output. This workflow completely shatters the limitations we're used to. Think about it. Traditional VJing often forces you to rely on gigabytes of pre-rendered video loops that you have to manually trigger. It's super rigid. If the vibe in the room suddenly changes and you didn't bring the right clips, you're stuck. But this agentic AI workflow, it's fluid, it's conversational. You are generating live, custom code that adapts to the exact moment, energy, and vibe of your set as it unfolds. Now, for the focused learners out there, you might be having a moment of panic. Letting an AI autonomously write and execute code on your performance machine sounds kind of risky, right? But VKO1 handles the security brilliantly. The MCP connection runs securely over local HTTP, binding strictly to localhost, that's 127.0.0.1. That means absolutely nothing on the external internet can reach it. Plus, the custom shaders run entirely inside Apple's restricted GPU sandbox, meaning they have zero access to your personal files or memory. And here's a fun fact. Because MCP is an open standard, you aren't even locked into using Claude. You can use Gemini, Codex, or honestly, any MCP-compatible agent you prefer. This VKO1192 update isn't just some fun new feature to play with. It is an entirely new way to think about visual performance. By bringing an agentic AI directly into the node graph via MCP, that barrier between your imagination and actual live execution has practically vanished. So I leave you with this. If your software can now write its own custom visual code, visually check its own work, and perfectly sync it to your music, all while you just focus on playing your set, what on earth is your next live show going to look like? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.